Peace and light, beloveds. I am Ya Lotus, and in this video, we will talk about shadow work. So what is this shadow work? What is this shadow people are talking about? And you need to do your shadow work or get in touch with your shadow self. Well, the shadow self is basically the unconscious aspect of your personality that the ego does not identify with, right? So let's just say, for example, you see a person and they present themselves as holier than thou, and they don't do any wrong, or et cetera, et cetera. That person is not in touch. Their ego is denying their shadow self, the dark side of them, right? And what is shadow work? Shadow work is basically getting in touch with the parts of yourself that you have repressed or hidden. Again, the dark side, the flip side, the hidden, repressed side of yourself. Now, you want to get in touch with this side of yourself in order to grow and heal and love, right? So you can be a 100 complete, loving being. So you can love yourself completely, the light and the dark side of yourself, right? So how do you start to doing shadow self? Well, actually, let's start here. How do you recognize your shadow self? So in your journal, you can pay attention to if you have boundaries or not, right? Because believe it or not, having boundaries for yourself is showing up for yourself, right? Showing up for yourself, and you matter. So you have to set those boundaries. And if you have weak or no boundaries, you have to, dive into that and ask yourself why. Self-sabotage is a way to recognize your shadow side, right? So when I say self-sabotage, that's basically a person that will hurt themselves in order to not cooperate with another, or to not see another person shine, right? And that's a way to recognize your shadow self. You have lack of confidence or low confidence, not believing in yourself, right? Afraid to speak up for yourself, which ties into weak or no boundaries. You don't have the confidence or feel like you're worth speaking up for yourself. Jealousy is a way to identify your shadow self. Ask yourself the question, why am I jealous? Why am I afraid? What am I insecure about? Anxiety. What are you anxious and nervous about? That's a way to recognize your shadow self. Addictions. Looking at your addictions and why you want to escape, right? Because, addictions can be identified as just escapism. You not wanting to feel or deal with something. Ask yourself why, okay? Always putting yourself last, you being a yes person, or a person, a people pleaser, why don't you think that you matter? Or why do you think you have to please people? Right? You want to ask yourself those questions. Like, seriously, ask yourself those questions. When you want to, you're saying yes to people when you want to say no, right? There are sometimes we say yes, when you want to get in good with your superior, your boss, or whatever, you might say yes to something. That's different than you doing something basically just to please someone that you really want to say no to. You want to ask yourself, why do you want to do that? Okay, so how do we start to do this shadow work? How do we do it? We want to observe our reactions to situations, to issues, to people. How do we react? Being conscious of that and journaling it down, okay? Learning to respond and not react. That is so very important when doing shadow work and helping with doing shadow work, okay? Learning not to react. Learning not to react. How do you do that? Being mindful of your surroundings, a person that you're talking to, right? Being mindful that you are present in the moment. Listening to hear the person and not just to respond to them. not just because you want to be right, not just because you want to win the conversation or the battle. You're listening so you can hear them. Helps you not respond and not react. Understanding emotional sobriety is a way to respond and not react. Knowing that a response is about the moment, that present moment, and a reaction is about the outcome, right? You want to, again, you're trying to win a battle, it's about a battle, and I'm going to win this. But when that's reacting, but when you're responding, you are in that present moment, and that's all that it's about. Okay. Another way that we can do shadow work is to practice emotional inquiry. Asking yourself the question, why do you feel a certain way? Why is something bothering you? Why is it triggering you? Because 7 times out of 10, if something or someone triggers us, there's something in there for us. For example, let's just say you're bothered by, you feel like you're being ignored by someone. You have to ask, and that angers you, that triggers you. Ask yourself the question, why is it triggering you? Why does it anger you, right? Once you've identified what the emotion is that you're having, why you're having that emotion, then you want to ask yourself, why? Again, why? Why? Having the conversation with yourself. And then once you identify, you can be honest with yourself and say, ask yourself the question, where are you not showing up for yourself? Where are you ignoring yourself? What are you not giving yourself that you need? Okay. And then give yourself that. Show up for yourself. Don't ignore yourself. Okay. Number 4, fourth reason, me and these numbers, right? Practice being present and conscious in your feelings. Know how you're feeling. Identify that. So, for example, if you've recognized anxiety in yourself, on your shadow self, ask yourself, okay, why am I anxious? Why am I feeling this way? Have the conversation with yourself again and write it down. And another way to do shadow work is to meditate on the aspects of yourself or your shadow self to get to know it, right? Getting to know yourself is so awesome. Getting to know who you are to the core and loving all of that, right? This shadow work is to be done so that you can have a loving, full relationship with yourself, the light and the dark side, so that you can love on yourself, be aware and present of yourself. It is only when you can see the shadow self, when you can see the dark sides or the issues within you, that you can do the work on healing it. If you can't see it, hey, you're oblivious. You're walking around and you have no idea that these things are happening. It's kind of like if you're inside of a building, you can't see the window. You can't see the windows. You can't see the brick, the mortar, the siding, whatever it is from the inside, right? So you have to go outside to pull things in. So in this instance, we're going inside and we're pulling things out. We're going to go inside of ourselves and we're going to pull out that shadow self, and we're going to heal it. You're going to recognize it, right? You're going to heal it. You're going to recognize it and know that it is valid. This is a valid feeling, right? For whatever reason, recognize that it is valid and love on it. Most of the time, our ego, see, this is one thing. I don't see the ego as like, a lot of people see the ego as like this negative aspect of yourself. Like, I see the ego as being a friend. You're a friend, that dear friend. Most of the time we build up egos to protect ourselves from something. And when I tell you that my ego has saved me from a lot of drama, like I didn't participate in a lot of street stuff, a lot of drama, a lot of hanging out, a lot of things that people my age were getting themselves into and have gotten themselves into because of my ego, because I thought I was too good for everything. right? I was that I was that, like, I'm not doing that. Who does that, right? That was me. And it was just my ego protecting me from things, right? So, and when I was doing it with a little, look at my nose down, like, no, who does that? Like, I don't do that. I don't know. No, I would never, right? Now I can choose not to do things just because it's something that I don't do, but I understand that people are free to live and do, and they have the rite of passage, and there is no judgment. That's the difference, right? So I see the ego as being a friend in need. The ego only comes to build and at times to be a protector of your mental state, right? It protects you a lot of times. So there is a such thing as a healthy ego. You can have a healthy ego, and you can have esteem of self, right? A little healthy narcissism never hurt anybody. But when the ego steps in and buries and hides dark sides of ourselves that is subconsciously controlling situations, responses, actions, and what's going on in our lives, then we know we got to do some self-work. So I just want to, again, thank you guys for listening to this video. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I hope that there is something that you can get out of this, something that inspires you to do some self-work, because ultimately, again, what we want to do is become a whole, healthy universe. We want everyone to just become whole within self, so then maybe we can stop pointing the fingers at others and heal ourselves first, and then ultimately we heal the world. Thank you so much again. Peace.